It's been a minute. I've been on a little sabbatical hiatus, whatever you want to call it. Um, my brother Infinite is on a similar thing, not completely similar, but I can't really go into it further than that. Um, if you're aware, then you'll know what I'm talking about, I guess. Um, because of that, it made me kind of want to like I don't know how far I'm gonna get into making videos as far as like how I was doing it before. Um, Speaking here is to one's own detriment. Like, if you are a philosopher of any sort, if you're a deep thinker, if you do thought experiments, if you try to view things from perspectives that are not widely held, you are attacked. Very much on the material and the physical, um, which oddly enough is what I want to talk about. The material, the physical. Um, I'm starting to notice physicists and philosophers, mathematicians, many branches of the sciences are starting to they're starting to parrot and talk about the positions that many of us have held for a significant amount of time. Um, Being rooted in principles of Gnosticism, of non-material existence, simulation theory, shit like that. And it made me think, or it didn't make me think, but I was thinking this morning um, about the fact that so many beings and representations of beings and avatars, whatever you want to refer to them as, uh, the majority of those that I talk to are feeling something that does not feel good, and they respond to it in different ways. What I mean by that is like there are those like myself and like Infinite that are very very upfront and specifically blunt about how we feel about this place, this experience. We try to talk it out. We try to do thought experiments. We come up with models for what this place could be if it is not what everyone assumes it is, and pushes on each other. There are others, though, that are very, very uncomfortable with that. When you talk about those things, they get very, very defensive, as if they created this place, or they get very angry with you, and some of them lash out. I've had that happen to me recently. Don't know if I've talked about. I think I have talked about it a little bit, but I'm still not going to go into it directly. But real life consequences for questioning the widely accepted narrative of what reality is, of what your day to day and nightly experience, what those things are. Which, I mean, just the first thing that comes to mind is how silly that is, because if everyone is, real with themselves, do you really know? You don't know. You've been taught things, and the system makes sense to you, so you perpetuate it. But in reality, we're just silly creatures that exist on a plane with other creatures. And since we have the capability to communicate verbally, and we don't understand, animals' forms of communication, we think that we're more intelligent, and that makes very little sense. So, an example of that is we have concepts of things like space, the sky, uh, the ocean, and what's in it, like uh, the universe. Some people believe in multiverses, but we have no real conceptual evidence of a lot of the shit that we push on each other. And why I say push on each other is because, like, if I were to get into a debate with the average person, or even, you know, in some cases, intellectuals or, you know, people involved in education, they can't they can't prove the things that they're so defensive of. Um, Most have not even seen the bottom of the ocean outside of a video. We haven't explored most of the ocean as is, even in you know, scientific terms. So we don't know what the ocean is or what is in it, what it contains, what it leads to, what it could be a door to. Same thing for the sky. Many of the things that we continue to accept to be space travel and space exploration and shit like that is fucking fake. It's fake. You know, I don't know why that's such a hard concept for people to wrap their mind around. I guess they don't want to be lied to. I guess that makes sense. If those that make decisions for you and control such large amounts of money are willing to fake, you know, shit like that, that's, I guess, for some a little bit disturbing, or it is disturbing, but it's scary to them, while it's not to me. But round, I'm going in a roundabout way of saying, like, this is affecting many people that don't realize it. Like, there are people that are sad or depressed or stressed out all the time, and on a microcosmic scale, they can say, "Oh, it's because I hate my job," or "It's because you know, I don't like my significant other," or "My kids are driving me crazy," or, you know, "I have clinical depression," or whatever the thing may be. But on a macrocosmic scale, like, I think many have the feeling that something is not right, whether it's because of materialistic shit or because of the you know, the combination of everything put together. I think many can feel it because it doesn't work. We're just making it work. Like, if you compare it to, like, the economy in the United States, many people in the United States know that the economy is fucked. They know that the system that we have been using for however long does not work. It's essentially a disguised caste system, and caste systems have never truly worked. It's just who's telling the story that makes it you know, feel as though we've progressed, but we haven't progressed. So, like, it's very similar now. It's really, I don't think it's changed. So, like, I've been wondering to myself, is it out of self-preservation that people ignore these things and defend them so intensely, because the other choice is to acknowledge the shit and be like, man, this is fucked. I don't know, that fucking bothers me, because it's like, if more were to accept and acknowledge and embrace the concept of maybe not trying to figure out what this place is and what all these things are, but at the very least saying, like, all this shit is weird and getting weirder, then that would be a first step in maybe being able to make it more pleasant, to make it more habitable, you know? I don't necessarily see that happening, but I guess one of the main reasons that I wanted to bring this up is because so many immediately jump to the conclusion that you are not within your right mind, or that you're in the throes of delusion or some shit, if you're willing to entertain that what your conception of reality is, what your conception of existence in this place is weird. If you feel that, then other beings will approach you with ill intent, or with you know, skepticism on whether or not you're capable of not being nuts. Yeah. Um, I don't know. I think that's sad, actually. Um, but I do think it's interesting that science, the academic community seems to be slowly coming around, and acknowledging their own experiments, their own science, their own math. Because physics and math and archaeology, anthropology, everything points to things being vastly different than what we've all been taught perpetually for generations. But up until very recently, it's just been like, ignore that though. Well, we found this, which kind of points to civilizations before this civilization, which completely destroys the concept of what history has been for so long, but let's just ignore that. Or we found this shit under these pyramids, which, what the fuck are those? But ignore that. It's still the same story as what we told you before. Um, you know, uh, the bones that we find and then plaster together with chicken bones and insinuate are real creatures, um, that we made up in the 1800s, but we don't really have a whole lot of proof of that, so ignore that too. We just allow so many things that don't make sense to build our concepts of reality. And those that question that, or that challenge that, better yet, are ostracized and called delusional, which I guess that is a very common like tactic for those that are defensive. You know that you're doing something. Think of like cheaters, people that cheat on their significant others or partners or whatever. When they feel like guilt, like real guilt, they a lot of the time are like very extra jealous or extra suspicious of the person that they're cheating on. So like conceptually saying those that um, believe these things, or they tell themselves they do, it's a state of I don't know if I could call it delusion, a state of ignorance. And because of that state of ignorance, they point fingers at people that are willing to actually try to figure out this stuff and call those people delusional or crazy or, what have you. So, I mean, unless academia really pushes forward these new concepts, these new interpretations of ontology and science and math and history, our children, not only us, but our children are going to fall further and further behind and be more and more gullible and essentially programmable. Like you can tell them whatever the fuck you want and they just believe it, or they make up goofy shit in their head. And tell it to each other, and it gets perpetuated that way. And that shit's sad too, because it's already hard enough to move forward, to take this walk as it is. But if you're walking in ignorance, if all three eyes are blinded, then you're essentially, I don't know, like lost more so than most, or not most. You're as lost as most. And there are those that talk publicly, trying to help with that, but in that same vein, like it's not in our best fucking interest to do that. You know, it's not in our best interest to talk about these things because of the repercussions, because of the way that others respond to it. Um, and even the quote unquote system that we all are operating in works against it. Like there's a dude or a couple dudes or something in the chat right now that are asking me stupid fucking questions about things that I'm not talking about. So like it's very much there, and it's very much easily noticeable, but you could also sharpen yourself in discipline and find ways to like center yourself. And if you do that, it's much easier to wrap your brain around some of these concepts and they make more sense. You just have to be comfortable in not knowing certain shit. Like one of the biggest arguments that I get when I talk about my lack of faith or my lack of belief in the concepts that come from like NASA and shit like that. Um, the first thing that someone says is, "Okay, well, what is it then?" I don't fucking know, dude. All I know is what it's not for me, because I have not been to space. I have not seen these things that are so readily provided as the truth or as a fact. Um, and neither have you. None of you have. So like, it's weird to so aggressively like defend or be so sure of a thing when you really have no concrete evidence of it. You just have things that have been put together by others that they themselves will tell you are not they're not real. Like pictures of planets, at least the ones that everyone would point to as like, this is a picture of Mars, this is a picture of this planet. Those aren't real. If you actually go and look a little bit, you'll see it says it's a rendering of data. It's a rendering of numbers, of calculations that they use to like do artistic renderings. All you know is that you look up and it's blue. I use that example a lot, but I don't think people get it when I say it. All you know for sure, for a fact, is that you look up and you see blue. Past that, the rest of what you say about up, about the sky, space, all that shit was taught to you, and you've seen renderings of things. Same for reality, like sleep. We created a name for a thing that we seem to need, but it's been shown in experiments that if you're if you're living in a different way, you may need less sleep. If you're living in another different way, then your sleep is very much active. Your brain is active, and you do things in your sleep. The concept of those things that you do are called dreams, but do you know that those are dreams? Or have you been told that that is not real in the sense that you've understood real to be up to this point? Like, these are the things that physicists and scientists are talking about right now, but most just don't pay attention to it. So they view themselves as being up to date on those topics. And if you're more up to date than they are, and they just don't know it, then you seem crazy to them. And that's, I don't know, sad. I don't know. What's up, Angel? I love you too. Um, I was gonna say I'm rambling. I'm not rambling. I'm just saying the shit that I've been kind of thinking about for this period that I've not been making videos. I've kind of reached this level of acceptance of the things that I've been studying and the conclusions. For some, most are not conclusions. Actually, it's just like questions that satisfy a previous question. Like, what is this place? Knowing what it's not helps me feel better about what I used to think it is, I guess is what I'm saying. I think if more people could become comfortable with that, like, this place would be a lot different. I was gonna say peaceful. I don't know about that. I think many are just kind of violent, but and territorial and driven by conquest and domination and shit like that. And I think those are lower forms of intelligence. I think those are like younger souls, younger experiencers or whatever. Um, I don't know. That's what I've been thinking about lately, though. I'm not gonna make this too long. Just dipping a toe to see if I want to do this again. We'll see. Let me know what you think about the stuff that I've said. Not necessarily said too much that I haven't said before, but just mainly the fact that you're slowly starting to see a trickle turn into a drip, turn into like a small stream of these concepts starting to be embraced by the same academia that was calling us crazy and pseudoscientists a couple years ago, a few years ago. Not at all saying that I'm a part of the boom of this or the progression of it. Well, I am a part of the progression of this. Fuck that. But like, not saying that I came up with this myself. Like, I think I've been pretty clear about that. The Gnostics are old as fuck. These are old concepts that a lot of people had much more evidence and knowledge of far before any recent contemporary times. And I think there's just a resurgence of that because people feel it more now. People feel it a lot more. And because they're feeling these emotions and these responses to the things around them, whether it be metaphysical stuff or the stuff that they see on the news because they still watch that for some fucking reason, or things that they experience while out in the 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 wilds, we'll call it. Um, Many are feeling something and they don't necessarily know what it is. They don't know what's causing it, and it's having a range of adverse effects on them. There's a much higher depression rate in all people. They say in men, but it's in all people. People are acting out. People are acting out, and people are slowly bubbling. And there's a very small minority of us that are kind of like. Usually we study. Usually some dedication of some sort, like philosophy or physics or whatever. Many of us come to the same conclusions or roundabout the same, and we're just kind of sitting back and watching, and that feels creepy. It feels creepy, but what the fuck else are we supposed to do? Because no one is even wanting to hear what we're talking about. I don't even think most of us are trying to say we have some sort of resolution or fix for it. We're just trying to get more people to see, like, this is weird. This is weird. So much of it is. And when you put many of those that speak publicly together, you can almost create a whole curriculum of why it's weird, like multiple subjects with all this like information and supplemental uh, um, knowledge from centuries of information. Um, so I don't know. Maybe we're waiting on that. Maybe we're waiting for more to be like, what is this? Does anyone even have a clue? And then we'll see. I don't know. I'm gonna go. I love you. Thanks for checking this shit out. Okay, bye.